All right, so how it started. So believe it or not, it all started in a lab where Dr. Paul was working diligently on leukemia research. Leukemia is a type of blood cancer. So you may be wondering, well, how does that work? You were working with cancer research, and now here we have a product for glucose metabolism, weight loss. So Dr. Paul, I would love to hear a little bit about your discovery of AvoB, maybe just like a high level overview on how you stumbled upon avocados, first off, and how you went from studying cancer to now creating this amazing product.
Yeah, great question. And it really speaks to the power of the scientific process and what we did in that we didn't start out at the onset to look for an avocado molecule and how it might potentially work. We asked a much more fundamental question and then let the scientific process tell us what molecule was the best. And so we stumbled upon it through that process of sort of this rigorous platform of discovery, and found that this avocado molecule was incredibly just great at performing this cellular function. About 10 years worth of work to really dissect and understand the molecule and how it actually changes cell health and how it could potentially impact overall physiology. And then through that understanding of really just the molecular mechanism by which this molecule functions, we started to explore not only its potential applications to improve cancer outcomes, but also what other diseases might benefit from the molecule. And so it's sort of testament to the people in the lab who really went into the weeds, so to speak, to understand the molecule better and the pathways that it targeted. And we rationalized that if you can target that process in leukemia, maybe you can tackle that process in another disease state. And that's where Dr. Ahmed comes in. At the time, just lowly Nawaz Ahmed, master's student, tasked him with, can this molecule that we've shown incredible activity in leukemia models, could it potentially be useful in other disease states? And so he was tasked with that and came up with looking at its potential in insulin resistance, diabetes, and obesity. And his entire PhD project was focused entirely on validating this molecule in those models. And the results were so great that we decided that it was needed to be in terms of a product, in terms of its commercializations. And that's where our capacity as an academic lab stopped, and then the genesis of a company around that molecule.
Amazing. So 10 years working studying this molecule.
Yeah, even more actually.
Wow, that's amazing. And I always say, as a dietitian, when I partner with brands, this is so fundamental to my beliefs, as a health professional, to rely on science-based, evidence-based nutrition advice. And having Metavo be such a well-designed and well-studied product really was incredible to me, and it really motivated me to learn more and incorporate the product into my diet as well. Amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And just wanted to share with everyone here our mission as a company. So we want to offer a natural solution to help you in your body metabolize sugar from carbohydrates and fats the way that it's meant to. We're going to talk a little bit about, why this doesn't always happen and why we have such an issue of obesity and metabolic dysfunction in all over the world, but especially in the US. And we're going to talk about how Metavo works, the mechanism of action, without being too technical. We want to make sure that we keep this fun and light, but we want to address the root cause of insulin sensitivity and how our product supports that. So now we're going to talk about the science behind Metavo, and that's definitely not my cup of tea. And we have the experts here, Dr. Paul and Nawaz, who really led this whole discovery process of AvoB. So I would love to hear from you, Dr. Nawaz, about the benefits of AvoB as a molecule, the bioactive component in avocados. The benefits beyond leukemia. So Dr. Paul gave us a little bit of an intro on how he was studying this for so many years, more than 10 years, on cancer research. And then, he brought in his master's student, who's now a doctor, PhD, to see if AVO-B had any other positive effects in any other mechanisms in the body or for other conditions. So Dr. Raz, if you could tell us a little bit more about these benefits for metabolism and glucose management, beyond the cancer research that you guys did.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the definitions there as well, Carolina. That's much appreciated. Those terms, insulin resistance, glucose and fatty acid oxidation, important to keep in mind. So I'm just going to use them judiciously now. So to answer your question really simply, how does this thing work? What is, what is Metavo, and what does it contain? And, Metavo is an avocado-based supplement that has, that is standardized to this lipid-like molecule called avocatin B. And avocatin B is an inhibitor of incomplete fatty acid oxidation that helps your mitochondria recover from metabolic inflexibility. So really, it allows your mitochondria to make a decision, and that it needs to burn all this excess sugar that's building up, and it solves for some of that metabolic inflexibility. So let's talk a little bit more about flexibility versus inflexibility, just to really reiterate how exactly Metavo works. So on your screen there, you see an analogy. We're saying, think of your body as a hybrid car, a high performance hybrid car. Hybrid cars can use both a gas powered engine and an electric motor, depending on, driving conditions, how fast you want to drive, where you're driving. Your body works in a similar fashion. It can switch between fuel sources, mainly glucose and fat, for quicker energy, and then depending on their availability and demand. So in essence, the ability of your body to switch between these two fuel sources is metabolic flexibility, and it's crucial for optimal health, sustained energy levels, and it prevents excessive hunger and really supports your regular weight. So what happens when, a lot of us are guilty of this? I am, so is Professor Spagnuolo. I'm sure, many of us in our panel, we overeat and we don't move enough. We consume too much sugar and fat, and, we don't engage in enough physical activity to really, offset that net balance there. So that is essentially, over time, when you keep doing that and life gets in the way, your hybrid car is stuck in one mode, and it can't efficiently switch between, going electric versus fuel. So not only is it stuck in one mode, it's sort of malfunctioning in the mode that it's trying to use. So let's bring that back to, the physiology and what's happening in the cell. So on the outside, you're overeating, you're not moving enough. You're seeing weight gain as an overt symptom, as an observable symptom, but at the cellular level, you have metabolic inflexibility. And that is characterized by two main things, and that's insulin resistance, like you already talked about. You're shutting off sugar. You cannot respond to the hormone insulin. So your blood sugar levels are already, always high. But you're also fat resistance and metabolic inflexibility. Your body's insulin resistant, can't burn the sugar. It's trying to burn fat to give you the energy that you need, but it's really sluggish at it, and it's not able to give you optimal amounts of energy from fat either. So it's really a double whammy, and it can be quite dangerous if allowed to continue over time. And diabetes and metabolic syndrome are the eventual outcomes of metabolic inflexibility. So AVO-B, or avocatin B, inside Metavo clears this metabolic gridlock or metabolic inflexibility inside your mitochondria. It turns back on glucose oxidation, and it shuts off that incomplete fatty acid oxidation, or your mitochondria's attempt to clear that erroneous insulin signal. And it really makes way to restore metabolic flexibility in your mitochondria. So in essence, that's kind of how avocatin B works, and we've shown that in our mice models. We've also shown it in our cell models of insulin resistance and lipotoxicity. So that's kind of the science behind Metavo, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into that. But let me know if that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. I love the analogy. I think nowadays we can all understand hybrid cars as they become more common. And it's fun to see that we can relate to that, on a molecular level, and how we also have the ability, in an ideal world to switch between these few sources. So thank you. That was very helpful.